There, we've got a story today that is coming from three of the Gospels. It's around Matthew 8, Mark 5, and Luke 8, and it covers two items that don't appear to be that related, but in time, they are close together. So we're going to go with them that way. Um, the first one involves Jesus being with his disciples at the Sea of Galilee, and something big has just wrapped up, and he suggested they get in a boat and head across the sea to another part of the lake. And that means that this boat was not one of the typical fisherman boats that would generally hold about two people and whatever fish they caught. This would have been one of the larger ones because he does have his disciples with him. Now, in it, I guess he's tired because he lays down on some cushions and goes to sleep. Um, that wouldn't have been an odd thing because at least four of his disciples were fishermen, so they would know how to get the boat to where it needed to go. The problem that happened was as they were headed across the lake, a storm swept in, and it was pretty bad for them. There were high waves, and they were crashing over the boat and threatening to swamp the boat, and there was wind, which was real frightening for them. And this kind of weather is not unusual for that part of the world. It's known that the air masses will move off the surrounding mountains and disturb the water and the air in that area. However, this seems to be a little bit different, and we find out this for what happens next, or from what happens next. And they go to Jesus and they wake him up. You know, it has to be pretty bad because when you have seasoned fishermen who are used to this lake being that way from time to time, if they get scared, then it's pretty bad. Well, they wake up Jesus, and you know he's kind of funny with them. It's not funny to them at the time, but he's going, "Oh, you have little faith." They had faith, but they were scared, and that's the part that he was kind of getting at them for, is that they were showing fear instead of standing up to this. And he tells the storm to stop, quiet, be calm. You know, he's really harsh with that. You think, well, that sounds kind of silly, just talking to the sky or the wind and the waves and all that, but things get calm. And that gives us a little clue of what's happening in here. You may remember from the book of Job that the devil had the power to do things with weather, uh, and even kill people using that. So I'm thinking in this case that the devil is probably behind this. Um, he probably has understood by this point that he can't get Jesus, but he could go after Jesus' disciples and put fear into them if nothing else. And with that, he's somewhat successful. However, when Jesus calms everything down, all the focus is gone from the devil or the weather or anything else to Jesus, and they're amazed at what he can do. They're also kind of scared at what he can do because they're thinking no normal man can do this, and in that they are right because no normal man can do that. Jesus was definitely not a normal man. He was fully human, but as they are finding out, his true nature, being God's son, um, carries with it a lot more than just a regular person would have. So they land at the other side of the lake, and it seems like Jesus may have intentionally sent them to this spot because it's a remote area, and where they come ashore, they're just tombs. Now, it's possible that he wanted a quiet place because often Jesus would go to quiet places so that he could rest and so he could pray. And this may have been that, but um, because of what happens next, it makes me wonder if he had some other goal in mind. Now, as I mentioned, they landed near tombs, and with Jewish laws, and even the Gentiles, the people who were not Jewish, tended to bury their dead away from the towns and all. Uh, I guess mostly because there's a danger of disease, or it just kind of creeps people out being close to where dead people are buried. So it was away from the town, but there were a couple of guys there, and Matthew mentions two guys. Mark and Luke focus on one in particular, and you'll see why in a minute. So imagine this: your boat comes ashore. You're in a place where there are tombs. You're getting out of the boat, and you see these two guys running towards you. They're not wearing a thing except maybe the remnants of what we would call now handcuffs, but metal that's been used to try to bind them, and they've broken free from it. That's what you've got here. You've got these two men, and they have been bound by chains and guarded, but they've always been so strong they could break out of them. Well, it turns out that they have unclean spirits, and we find out one in particular has more than one. Now, when we talk about unclean spirits, we're talking about um, demons, evil spirits, that sort of thing. Ones who would be on the devil's side in in this situation. Well, run up to Jesus, and this one particular throws himself down and said, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of God? Have you come here to torture me?" Torture means to hurt somebody on purpose. He said, and he's begging Jesus not to torture him. Well, what's been happening? He got there. Jesus told the demon to get out. The demon doesn't get out. He says it more than once. Demon doesn't get out. And you start thinking this, okay, does that mean that demons can disobey God? They can disobey Jesus and get away with it? Well, think about this situation where maybe you're at school, maybe you're at home, and you get in trouble. And whoever's in charge says, "Come here." And you know it's not going to be pleasant. Whatever it is, you don't want to do it. And you know if you wait too long, it's going to be worse. Well, I can remember those situations when I was growing up. But it may be that if you hold back and you can explain something, maybe what punishment you get won't be as bad, or you're just trying to put it off as long as you can. Well, that seems to be what's happening here, because this demon it sounds like he's trying to negotiate, you know, swear to me, promise me you won't send me into the abyss. Now, the abyss is something that God created, but it's not for you, it's not for me, it's for the devil and the ones who followed him into evil. And if it's a place where God's set up, that God has set up for evil spirits, the devil, and all that, it's not a place you or I want to go. Well, these evil spirits don't want to go there either. And, they're begging Jesus, "Don't send us there." And Jesus stops. Demon's not coming out. He says, "What is your name?" Well, there's a lot that goes into knowing someone's name back in the Bible times. And there are times when people would not tell their names. In this one, the demon did not have a choice in this. He had to do something to obey Jesus, and he answers. He said, "My name is Legion, for we are many." Now we find out in the story, it's not just one evil spirit in this man. There are many. Now, the name Legion is used by the Romans to designate a number of troops that they had. A Roman legion would have 6,000 soldiers, roughly. Now, that doesn't mean there were 6,000 demons in this person, but it does mean that there were a lot. And we're going to find out there were thousands in there. And so they had control over the man that they are inside, making him cut himself with rocks, and he would live among the tombs, and he would howl in pain and all that. Well, now they are just as scared as the man was of them. and they're begging Jesus, don't send us into the abyss, because that's going to be the worst thing that could happen for them. And Jesus sees a herd of pigs. Well, pigs are unclean animals. Um, they shouldn't be in this area. And the demons go, send us into the pigs. And Jesus says, go. Well, they come out of the man, they go into the pigs. And there's a little debate on what happens when they go into pigs. Is it that the animals go crazy because of their presence, or is it because the primary thing demons want to do is hurt those they are inside? Well, either way, the pigs go running down into the Sea of Galilee and drown. So the people who are taking care of the pigs see this and they run off to town. Um, when they get back with some of the townspeople, they are looking to see what's happened. Well, they see this guy who had had the demons. Well, he's got clothes on. He's acting normally. He's sitting there near Jesus. He's in his right mind. And they are scared because they know this guy. They know what he's been like all of this time. And there were probably Gentiles living in this area who owned the pigs. Okay, those people are going to be upset when they find out what happened to their pigs. And the people are afraid of Jesus because they're thinking about, okay, something very different here. They aren't thinking about, oh, something good has happened. They're thinking something's very different. And probably there's a little bit of fear of whoever owned the pigs and how that person was going to react. And so they're trying to get things straight. They're scared and they ask Jesus to leave. Now, that's that's something that tells you about people when Jesus doesn't comes into a place and does great things, and people want him to leave, and that doesn't say much in a good way about the people. So even though things may be unusual, if good is happening, that's where we can rejoice and praise God. Well, that's kind of where Jesus gets to with this, because he and his disciples are getting ready to go, and the man who is now in his right mind, who no longer has the demons, begs Jesus, let me come with you. And Jesus does something that we're not used to him doing at this point. He tells the man, no, go home. Tell people what God has done for you. Now, he's not saying what I have done for you, because we know how there's this relationship with Jesus and the Father. They say, tell people what God has done for you. Now, part of this too is a kindness to the man's family. They haven't been able to be around him, and now they're going to have him back, and he's now healed and can be with them. So that's going to be good news all around. Well, this man did exactly what Jesus asked him to do. He went home to his family, but he also went through the area telling people about Jesus and what he had done. And for now, we're going to wrap up this story, but we're starting to see more and more that Jesus has incredible power, and there are times that he is willing to use it. And we end up trying to figure out, okay, why does he use it sometimes and not other times? But we'll get into that a little bit more in future lessons. And for now, I'm going to leave you with the tie of today, which is, if there's anything that could represent Legion, this tie was it. So these sickly, yucky looking creatures that were in the man, but now they're cast out. All right, with that, I'm going to let you go and you have a good day.